Hello learners, I Anandvardhan, a faculty at School of Heritage Research and Management, Ambedkar University, Delhi, will discuss today the history and significance of North Indian cities. Friends, we have already discussed about a very good number of archaeological sites of North India as well as South India. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about historical archaeology of ancient India in a specific context to North Indian urban centers. Objective of this lecture is to make all of you acquainted with following subjects like town planning in ancient India, archaeological significance of the sites, literary references of historical sites, and important finds, I mean archaeological finds of the historical places. So, let us understand first how these cities originated. I mean, firstly we will discuss origin and growth of Indian cities. A city as a concrete expression of the motivational forces and ideas regulating the life of the citizens is the noblest monument of human art and conception. In its genesis, it is wrapped up to a great measure the evolution of civilization of the people who built it. It is especially true of the Western world where civilization evolved and continued till modern period. In the cities, even in India, where a village in its wider senses shall presently realize when we trace the origin and growth of Indian cities, that how in long course of history from villages up to market economy, the cities have evolved. Cities may be grouped into two main divisions. Accordingly, they evolved consciously or unsuspiciously. It cannot be definitely asserted in the history of any city that every stage of its growth from the very foundation was due to deliberate efforts to improve and expand it. Neither can the country proposition be seriously adduced that no period of a certain city did it by trimming from human hands. The truth perhaps lies midway between these extremes. Either it was first laid out by a certain king, then it grew and grew until the unseemly state of things called for an appropriate resetting. Or it may be where we now find a full-fledged city, there resided a patriarchal family in the days of hoary antiquity. The family grew into a village. The village, possibly because of containing a market center, outgrew its rural dimensions and significance until it came to be a city and was at some stage or other rightened and improved according to the best town planning traditions. Any locality bidding fair to grow into a town must be endowed with advantages of a market or temple, facilities of easy access and conveyance, especially by water. I mean by prominent trade routes having navigable rivers or seas. A fortress or a temple, they mattered in the growth of the city as they symbolized either temporal power or spiritual power. This is true for all towns, whether in India or outside it. It may be the existence of a river or a trade route that attracted people in great number. Generally in all countries, it is the temple or church that were established in the already existing towns, and not the towns that are founded just for the purpose of making religious structures. Rather, there evolved a market around the temple, church or the mosque. Only in India it has been possible for a temple to throw out a city round about it. I mean to say, though in general, due to economic development and evolution of market economy, cities had evolved. In Indian context, you may find that many of the sacred places later on were transformed into beautiful cities and trade centers. The Swadkalpadrum gives the following synonymous of Puram, meaning a city. The Sanskrit equivalent of a city is a pur. A house, a place containing market, and like Hattadi Viksit Asthanam, a place of intercourse between and including many villages. Vahu Gramya Vyavahar Asthan, a place or palace of royal residence, meaning Puri, as we call it Puri. They are developed in Nagar. I would like to encapsulate it that Swadkalpadrum is a text which describes that there were fortified cities which evolved at villages which developed Vyavahar Asthan. Vyavahar Asthan means a place for sale and purchase and an adequate place for gathering of the people. Town planning in ancient India has been remarkably significant. An emporium called Pattanam, a local fastness Asthaniyam, a camp called Katkam, a crossing of great highway Pattanam, a commercial center called Nigam, a place on a riverside Put Vedan Nagaram. These all have been described in ancient Indian texts as important urban centers. A close study of the above synonyms will reveal the history and explain the origin and characteristics of Indo-Aryan cities. The cities stand always, as Kropotkin points out, at the crossing of great highways. The ideal city is the meeting place of shepherds and peasants or merchants, artisans, priests. It is maybe a place of pilgrimage as well. It is the center towards which converge a stream that rise in all the quarters of the globe. It is marketplace and it is a place for exchanging wealth. It is a place for industrial development. The above material contains a list of almost all the varieties of city which had conscious origin as well as those which evolved in a natural process. It should be noticed that the origin of those towns which grew independently of any deliberate planning from the beginning can be traced to house, a temple, a village that contained centers for manufacturing goods, or a marketplace which was used by the local community for sale and purchase of goods. In this regard, we will discuss in detail the archaeological and historical significance of some of the important cities of northern Gangetic Plain. The purpose of this explanation is to provide you a comprehensive idea about growth of cities in ancient India. I will take a city named Ahichatra. It is a very important place which is often related to the archaeology of the period of the great epic Mahabharata. This famous place still preserves its ancient name as Ahichatra, although it has been deserted for many centuries. Its history reaches back to BC 1430, at which time it was the capital of the northern Panchala. The name is written Ahichatra as well, Ahichatra, but the local legend called it Adiraj, the Naga king, who formed a canopy over his head when asleep. It is important to note that this place has historically significant mounds. It appears like a grand old fort which is said to have been built by Raja Adi or Ahir, whose future elevation to sovereignty was foretold by Drona when he found him sleeping under the guardianship of a serpent with expanded hood. This is a mythical story that tells us about the Drona, who is a well-known personality of the great epic Mahabharata. So Drona made a prediction that it will become a capital city. This is the essence of this mythical story. Friends, I would like to tell you that many cities in India, though they are historically significant, are known by such kind of mythical stories. This place is mentioned by Ptolemy as Aswaspa, which proves that the legend attached to the name of Adi is at least as old as the beginning of the Christian era. The fort is also called Adi Kot, but the more common name is Ahichatra. According to the great epic Mahabharata, the great kingdom of Panchal extended from the Himalaya mountains to the Chambal river. The capital of North Panchal or Rohilkhand was Ahichatra, and that of South Panchal or the central Gangetic Doab was Kampil. Now Kampil on the old Ganges between Badaun and Farrukhabad. Just before the Great War or about 1430 BC, the king of Panchal named Drupad was conquered by Drona, the preceptor of the five Pandus. Drona retained North Panchala for himself, but restored the southern half of the kingdom to Drupad. According to this account, the name of Ahichatra and consequently also the legend of Adi Raj and the serpent are of many centuries old, and undoubtedly this mythical story is related to pre-Buddhist era. We have now a deserted archaeological site at Ahichatra, which is known for PGW, painted graveyard pottery. In Middle Gangetic Plain, we have several very important cities. I am going to take another remarkably significant city of Middle Ganga Plain, that is Sankisha. The name of the place is written Sengkia Se by the famous Chinese pilgrim Wen Sang. Sankisa is a very important place that represents various archaeological relics related to ancient India. Huensang calls it also by the name Kyapitha or Kapitha, of which I was unable to discover any trace. Sankisa was one of the most famous places of Buddhist pilgrimage, and it was the scene of Buddha's descent from the Trishna heaven by a ladder of gold or gems accompanied by gods Indra and Brahma. According to this curious legend, Maya, the mother of Buddha, died 7 days after the birth and ascended at once to the Trishna heaven, the abode of 33 gods, of whom Indra was the chief. But as she had no opportunity in this abode of the gods of hearing the law of Buddha, her pious son ascended to Trinsha heaven and preached for 3 months in her behalf. He then descended to the earth with the gods Brahma and Indra by three staircases, one of which was formed either of crystal or pieces of stone, another 5013 and another of gold, and the third one was made of silver. According to Fayan, Buddha descended by a staircase formed of the 7 precious things, that is the precious metal and precious gems, while Brahma accompanied him on his right side by a silver ladder and Indra on his left by a golden ladder. But Huensang assigns this golden staircase to Buddha himself, the silver staircase on the right to Brahma, and the crystal staircase has also been mentioned in connection of the same story. This mythical story doesn't help us in understanding what Sankisa was. So let us take recourse to archaeological remains. The most important archaeological remains from Sankisa is of a Sokan period, and that is a stone capital having figure of elephant. Apart from Sankisa, we have another important city in North India, and it is a very well known religious place. It is Mathura. In the 7th century, the famous city of Mathura was the capital of a large kingdom, which is said to have been 5000 li or 833 miles in circuit. If this estimate is correct, the province must have included not only the whole of the country lying between the district of Bairat and Atranji, but a still larger tract beyond Agra as far as Narwar and Shivpuri on the south and the Sindh river on the east. This limits the circuit of the province in 650 miles measured direct or upward of 750 miles by road distance. It includes the present district of Mathura with small states of Bharatpur, Karauli and Dholpur and the northern half of the Gwalior territory. So Mathura was like a city state as well. To the east of it would have been bounded by the kingdom of Jujhauti, and on the south it was covered by Malwa, both of which are described by Huensang as separate kingdoms. So we have a very comprehensive explanation given by Huensang about the city called Mathura. Mathura since modern time is known as a great school of art. In the 7th century, the city was extended in 3 miles and it formed a circuit. The old city is said to have extended from the Nabi Masjid and the fort of Raja Kans on the north to the mounds called Tila of Kans and Tila Satsik on the south. We have several important archaeological sites in Mathura, from where a great number of archaeological remains in forms of images have been found. We have important sites like Mat, Nangla Jhila, Kankali Tila, which are very important sites, and there archaeologists have done extensive exploration and excavation work. We have got two large Buddhist monasteries from Mathura, which belong to early Christian era. The holy city of Mathura is one of the most ancient places in India. It is famous in the history of India as birthplace of Krishna and as the stronghold of his enemy Raja Kans also. It is significant in terms of the foreign account as well. We find reference of Sursen, the ancient kingdom of Mathura, given by Megasthenes. Now, Sursen was the grandfather of Krishna, and after him this place was known as Sursen. According to African, the Surseni, according to foreign author Pliny, Pliny basically give name of the river Jamuna, that is modern days Yamuna river itself. He has written it like Zomone and says that it passed between the towns of Mathura, Clisobura. Ptolemy mentions only Mathura, and it is significant to note that he himself has called this city as the city of gods or a holy city. So friends, we find very interesting reference in the writing of Pliny, who describes Mathura as a city of gods, that undoubtedly relates it with Lord Krishna, the great hero of Mahabharata. Another important city that we are going to take up is Ayodhya. Ayodhya is a sacred city of Lord Rama, known all over the world as his birthplace. Recent archaeological excavations have revealed that there was a pre-existing structure below the surface level that comprised of ancient images. Interestingly, northern black polishware pottery, about that we have discussed in detail in previous classes. They have been found at lower level at this site, and they have been dated as old as 950 BCE. Ayodhya has been sacred for the Jain community as well. From Ayodhya, the inscription of King Pushyamitra Shung of Magad has been found, and that is a testimony of the ancient practice and ancient tradition of Ashwamedh Yagya. Ayodhya was ruled for several years by the Mitra rulers. An inscription of the King Govind Chandra Gahadwal, inscribed in the name of Saket Mandala Dhipati, named Setu Bandh, confirms the existence of a Vishnu shrine at this place. Again, I will remind you that Ayodhya has been excavated, and very especially the area around the structure earlier called Babri Masjid was excavated, that has yielded a great number of material. The said inscription of the period of Govind Chandra Gahadwal mentions Lord Vishnu as Ravan Hanta, one who killed Ravana. In medieval period, Ayodhya became famous center of Ramanandi Bhakti movement that was critical to caste system, and it invoked the need of Hindu integrity and unity. After Ayodhya, we will discuss another important religious city that is known as Kasi. Friends, Kasi is the sacred complex of Shiva called Vishwanath. Medieval Kasi was ruled by Garhwal dynasty and it served as their capital. The historic Kasi Vishwanath temple was re-erected by Pandit Todar and his friend Narayan Bhatt, a great poet. The son of Todar, Girdhari, has the credit of rebuilding this main shrine. However, it was again demolished. The Naga saints of the Snami order fought to save this shrine from invading army. Kasi was spiritually and culturally resurrected by Pandit Mansa Ram Mishra, the founder of the Narayan dynasty, and his great son Dwijraj Balwant Singh. Maharaja Balwant made the famous Ramnagar fort and Kali temple. Rani Ahilyabai of Indore and Rani Bhavani of Nettor, Bengal played a dynamic role in making various shrines in the city. Raja Chet Singh revolted against the East India Company. Raja Prabhu Narayan Singh of Kasi donated 1300 acres of land to Banaras Hindu University and lavishly expended money in its opening ceremony. Among the places of tourist interest in northern India that is very important in terms of its own archaeological history is also Vaishali. Wensang mentions having crossed the Ganges on the road, but as he was already in the north of that river, he referred to another river that was Gandak. We have some very important archaeological findings from Vaishali at a place named Koldihwa and another place named Basra, from where we have excavated an archaeological site known as Raja Visal Ka Gad, or the fort of Raja Visal, who was the reputed founder of ancient Vaishali. In the list of northern Indian cities, we have another significant place, that is Gaya. It is a place of great antiquity. The place is associated with ancestral worship and Lord Buddha. Gaya is a sacred complex of Lord Vishnu and it is known for sun worship as well. The city was freed from the yoke of Mughal rule by Maharaja Tribhuvan Singh, the king of Tekari. Maharaja Sundar Singh of Tekari defeated Alivardi Khan of Bengal and ensured cultural developments at Gaya. Gaya city has cultural remains from Mauryan period up to modern period. The famous Vishnupad shrine has numerous images of succeeding historical periods. Ahilyabai constructed the Vishnupad shrine, the existing Vishnupad shrine, and before her a Viman was made here by great King Raja Krishnadev Rai of Vijayanagar dynasty. According to various sources, Gaya has been a very important place for pilgrims since the beginning of early Christian era. Friends, today, even for the purpose of tourism, Gaya and Bodh Gaya, which exist like twin cities, are very important as they offer to us a very good number of ancient monuments having religious significance. Let us sum up. In this lecture, we have discussed various significant cities of North India like Ahichhatra, Sankisa, Mathura, Ayodhya, Vaishali and Kasi. These cities are remarkably important for tourists who want to understand the archaeological history of the ancient Indian cities and their cultural significance. Thank you.